Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. This is the probably last episode for the Honda CB550 restoration. Thanks for watching. Alright, so I'm checking the jets on these carburetors. What I found for a combination that works on the other CB550s that I've done is a 110 main jet and there's a loud airplane out there. 110 main jet and a 42 pilot jet. So I bought these jets 2 years ago for this bike. And this is the jet setup when you have a 4-in-1 exhaust like a Kirker and pod filters. So it has a 100 main jet and it has a 42 pilot jet. So somebody did already jet this. I'm going to put the 110 main jet in because I know that worked pretty good previously. And if it doesn't, I can always put these ones back in. All right, so it does say 110 on it. Just screws in there. All right, 3 more times. Swap up the throttle cables. Looks like that's roughly the same size. Okay. All right, and the other one is about the same size too. Alright, these old grips are worn, so I've got some new, more stylish grips. run into a problem with this pull cable with no, I don't know if you can see it here. There's just not enough slack to get the cable into this. There's just not enough slack to pull the cable. Let's see, let's go like that. It's supposed to be right there, so this needs to be way longer. So up in my stash, I have, excuse me, pull long 1978, which I think 78K model that I took apart. So hopefully this one will be long enough. So the push cable, pull cable does fit, but of course, no surprise, the pull cable fits, the push cable, the new push cable doesn't fit because it's also the wrong one. But back up on the stash, I have these 3 push cables, and one is longer than the other one, so I believe this is for the 78 right here. So I will try that one. Yeah, unfortunately the push cable is way too big. Meant for a different bike, so I don't know what's up with that, but you can get away without having a push cable. I'll just have a pull cable. I put the new push cable back, and it does, I did get it to fit. It kind of seems to keep the throttle from immediately closing. I don't know if I like that. I can always take it out. It doesn't have a snappy, it doesn't snap back. Maybe I should just take it out of there, huh? Yeah, when I do that. Okay, so with that push cable out of there, I get full throttle movement and it snaps back, so good enough. So get this choke cable, seems to want to go right here. I've hooked it up to the carb already. Seems to work properly. Choke on, choke off. Alright, so yeah, I got these crappy pod filters, low quality, low value. Getting closer. Alright, so the carbs are ready to go. You know what? I don't know how to adjust the do the synchronization of the carbs. Is it done in here? Yes. Okay, it's in here. So I guess when I get around to that, I'll deal with it. So this is the oil breather. This would have gone into the air box, but this doesn't have an air box anymore. So we'll just stick it right in there. Okay. Alright, so the next thing I have to do is wrap this exhaust. So that chrome piece there looks totally fine, but the problem is you got this. So I want to knock some of this loose rust off of it and clean up these flanges. The flanges are visible. See if I can get in there with a wire wheel and get that black paint off of there and just make it look a tiny bit better before I wrap it. That's good enough. Yep. Wasn't supposed to happen like that. Good enough though, okay. And the one on the bottom needs one. Well, that's basically one. So I got to do that 3 more times, and then I'll wrap something around the collector, and the rest is actually pretty good. The header is up in the attic, I think. Yeah. Anyway, that's good for now. All right, got 2 of them done. All right, well, I got all 4 done. Barely. Looks like I fucked up right there. Shit. Maybe I can fix that. Hopefully I can fix that. Then I got to do the collector. All right, so it's the finished product. Not the greatest job I've ever done, but this part is under the bike. You don't see it. And just kind of turn that in there. There we go. Anyway, good enough to stick on the bike. Alright, I gotta put the exhaust donuts in. Grease on there. Nut has a kind of a standoff to it. Alright, so there's the header. When I start it up, it's going to milk and stink, but it looks better than a piece of rust. So let me go find the megaphone. I think that I have to put this nut, this special nut has to go in place of that one. and then the megaphone hangs off of a bracket that I have over here. Go get that done. Somewhere in that ballpark. Alright, exhaust is on. Alright, sprocket cover. I did polish it. I don't think it looks very good, but don't really care. Just want to get it together. This is a cover that goes on the starter. Alright, so we gotta get the CB550's gas tank. So SL125, goose bike, goose bike, goose bike, another CB550, KZ1000, it's out in the shed. Alright, so this, this. These are the side covers. Alright, that's probably good. these itty bitty clips here. Go over these pins. Alright, I don't believe that they're supposed to just fall right off. So I'll have to crush those. All right, so first run up on the CB550, I've got my remote fuel thing. I had to get a new one because the old one, the valve was leaking, just pouring gas all over the place. I was ready to play with it last weekend, but I had to buy a new one of these things. Couldn't get this thing apart. Maybe there's a way to take it apart, I don't know. Anyway, this is new, so it's ready to go. So start it up, warm it up. It's gonna smoke because of the heat wrap on the exhaust. And so first thing I'm gonna do is time it, see if it's in the right ballpark, let it warm up for a few minutes, and then I will see if it idles okay. And I'll probably will check the carb sync. There's all the vacuum ports are readily accessible. Anyway. So I was able to set the timing. Alright, so it's running okay. You can hear how you rev it up and it will stay, the idle will stay high for a while and then it drops down. That generally is the sign of carbs are out of sync. So I need to take off these little valve things, screw things. So you can see that gives me the access into the vacuum chamber. I'm just looking around for idle air mixture screws. I don't see any. I wonder if they're under here. No, that wouldn't make sense. That's where the choke is. Maybe these don't have them. Anyway, I'll set that up, do the carb sync, and I'll come back. Yeah, alright, so you had 4 carburetors. This one does not have an adjuster on it, so this is like the base. So you find out what vacuum this one's pulling, and then you set everything, set the other carburetors to this one. I don't know if that makes any sense. What the vacuum number is, it doesn't really matter. It's just that you try to hold it at a consistent RPM and pull a certain vacuum, and you want each of the carburetors to be pulling about the same vacuum. So you're doing that by using these adjusters to makes very small changes to the throttle position of each one of them. So what happens when they're out of sync, for instance, they just did this rebuild. Who knows what they were synced to? They were synced to some old engine, right? Some whole totally different engine. Each cylinder is pulling a little bit different, has a little bit different compression. So you want to keep it, if you don't adjust the throttles of each of them to each other, what you'll have is one carburetor, its throttle will be open a little bit more, and the whole bike, the whole engine is trying, all 4 cylinders are trying to idle off of that one carburetor. And you kind of see whether you rev it up, it's and it goes and dies, because one of the carburetors usually is trying to run, sustain the idle, as where the other ones, the throttles are closed too much, and you get this chunky, luggy kind of idle. Anyway, I'll try to describe the process maybe a little bit as I go through it, but as you can see, I have these brass tubes screwed into the holes, the vacuum holes there. They're each hooked up to this bar here where I can individually turn on and off each cylinder like this. So you can see how much each cylinder is pulling. A lot of times you'll see like 4 of these, 4 gauges all lined up against each other. They each have their own tube. That's another way to do it, but you have to have each gauge synced to each other. So sometimes these cheap gauges, they're difficult to get synced. I don't know, but anyway, this is the one that I use. And I've never adjusted these ones, but they look pretty simple. I've loosened these lock nuts, and then it just looks like you turn this screw. Looks like, I'm not sure. Looks like if you turn the screw in, it would close the throttle. That's what it looks like anyway. I've got it closer. So that's about 7. Here's the base one. But it still doesn't seem to want to idle. So if I adjust the idle, if I rev it up, it'll hang up. Looks like it's running okay. See, if you pull it, if you turn it down to where the idle takes effect, it dies. So it's like it's out of adjustment. It's acting like it's not in sync. So I'll keep playing with it a little bit, but not sure. disappointed. The bike is not running well. It's got the idle problem. I've seen that before, and it also has this problem where, like, at between 4 and 5,000 RPM, it's like it's running out of gas. So I don't know if that's a spark problem or a gas problem. I don't think it's a spark problem. The bike ran fine 2 years ago. It just leaked oil. Definitely I've got the valve adjustment wrong, because you can hear it sounds like a sewing machine. So I need to take the tank off. I need to readjust the valves. I'll do a compression check. But I suspect it's something up with those carbs. I've never worked with those 78, 77, 78K model carbs. I have a rebuilt, ready to go set of carbs for the other style set of carbs. I'll show them. Yeah, so I'll probably do an update video. I won't do a full-length video. I'm going to swap out the carbs. I highly suspect that that's what the issue is. It's probably the carbs. And then put the new carbs in, and hopefully it'll be good to go. And I'll do like an update video. So thanks for watching, and I appreciate everyone tuning in. A lot of new subscribers, thank you. And hopefully next video is going to be finishing the Z1R. But now it's end of October, just about Halloween. Riding season's over, pretty much over. And I've waited all this time to get the Z1R going. But it is back in the shop. I'm looking at it right now. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.